We all know that we want to be healthier, but do we know why we want to be healthier in the first place? And that is the most important thing for you to figure out in order for you to achieve the results that you are seeking. I've seen it over and over and over again in people. Everyone agrees that they want to be healthier, but they can't figure out either why or what it takes in order to achieve that. So I want to talk about it because we know for certain, for a fact, the science backs it up. We've seen thousands of people get results over the course of the past 2 years that this works. So if we know that this works, we know that you remove nuts and seeds, avocados and coconuts, you eat lots of dark leafy greens, you eat lots of berries and melons, you will lose a ton of weight, your skin will glow bright, and you will feel 10 times better with more energy than you've ever had in your entire life. We know that happens. I documented each and every single day for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of days. I have case after case after case of people having these results. But for every person that gets these results, there's 1,000 people that never even try. We have 116,000 people following this, and out of that, maybe 20, 30,000 people are actually doing it. So what is this disconnect? Because if you're following, you have to answer the questions. If you're in the Proto-Section Challenge group, you have to say and commit to living a healthier and happier life. So if you're saying it, if you're verbally commanding it, if you're thinking it, if you're believing it, if you're wanting it, then why are you not achieving it when we know what it takes in order to get there? And that is the most important question. It's more important than what to eat or what not to eat, where to eat or when not to eat, when to eat or when not to eat, intermittent fasting or all these things, keto versus non-keto. The most important thing is to be mentally clear, mentally there, where you know what you want, you know how you're going to get it, and you know why you want to do it. It's the aha moment. It's the epiphany. I've done How I Lost It multiple times with people, and they talk about that moment that was so powerful, that was so eye-opening, that was so uplifting, that it changed them. It can be a combination of moments. It can take over a year, 2 years. It can occur throughout multiple periods of your life, but usually you can source it back to one thing or one philosophy or one ideology that made you so committed to this that you could not fail. Your why was so strong that it didn't matter what was around you, who was around you, or what the obstacles in your way were, you would get around them and you would succeed and you would get those results. And that is so important. So you have to self-reflect, actually have an honest conversation with yourself about this. We know it works. Don't make up excuses. I know it's a hard word to say, excuses. We know this works. We've seen the results thousands and thousands of times over. The literature supports it. The greatest medical institutions support it. So we know this works. So don't beat yourself up. Don't say it's expensive. It's not expensive. Don't say it's too hard. It's very simple. Don't say it takes too much time. It's actually really quick. So instead of saying those things, because all those come from you not having a strong enough why. If you don't truly, genuinely, to your core, believe that you want to do this, then you'll make up any reason not to do this, even if that reason has no truth to it whatsoever. Even if it doesn't make a difference, even if it's so far-fetched and so unrealistic, but if it allows you to stop you from getting the results that you wanted because your why is not strong enough, you will come up with that idea. I've heard them all. It's too expensive in my town. I've gone to that town. I've proven it's not too expensive. It's too time-consuming. I've made meals in under 5 minutes. There's no truth to those excuses. The only truth is that your strength is not where it needs to be in order to achieve the results that you so seek. So let's talk about how you build that why. How do you find that why? What is it? It can come in so many forms. It's not simple. And sometimes it's the simplest thing. And I know that sounds so crazy. It's not simple, but yet it is the simplest of things. It's family. It's friends. It's grandchildren. It's waking up a little bit earlier. It's having a longer day. It's not taking medications. Those are the things that create these whys. It's not living in the footsteps of someone you loved that you saw leave too early. It's not leaving a legacy that you don't want to leave behind. It's not suffering through things that you know you should not be suffering through. Those are the things that create this why. It's seeing something that's so shocking and so to the bone real that you make a change. So we've seen that happen, the aha moment. Maybe it's going to a doctor and seeing your parents taking 12 medications a day, seeing your mother and your father struggle and suffer, and thinking that there's just no other choice. It's the only thing. You have to take those medications because that's life. As you become 50, as you become 70, you take medication. That's what you do. You take medication. That's our society. 10 to 12 pills a day. That is part of our life. But maybe you saw your parents and your grandparents do it, and maybe you were sitting in that doctor's office and they're saying to you, oh, you're pre-diabetic. You're going to have to start taking some of these pills. You're going to have to start regularly checking your insulin, and maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you've seen too many loved ones go through it, maybe a husband or a wife, maybe a mother or a father, and that is so strong and so shocking and so eye-opening, and you have the planted seed. You already know that what this does. You already know the power of this, but now it's become all too real to you. Now it's become the difference between your financial and your well-being. So maybe it is finances, maybe it's money, maybe it's that you really, really cannot afford to take all these medications, maybe it's you cannot afford to spend all of this money on these foods, and you realize that this actually is more affordable. And I know that sounds crazy for so many people out there. They're saying, what? Yes, you actually save a ton of money by doing this. Maybe it's financial driven. Maybe it's just you have no money and you're just trying to make ends meet, and the only thing you can afford is 8 husks of corn for $1 at the grocery store, because you know those 8 pieces of corn will get you through a couple days. Maybe it's some beans and some rice, and that's all you can get. That's all you can afford, but you know it's nutritionally sound. You know the potatoes and all these things are going to give you the best bang for your buck. You know they're affordable, and you know you can make them, and you know they're simple. Maybe that's what's driving you, because there's so many societies that don't have the luxuries that we have in the United States of America and in so many other developed countries, that they eat beans and rice, and they eat potatoes, and that's all they eat. And guess what? They're healthy. That's right. They're healthy. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's that it's out of necessity, financial necessity. You just do not have the means to buy what we call luxuries or treats, but are oftentimes unhealthy. So maybe that's the aha moment. Maybe that's the epiphany. Maybe it is just not being happy with where you're at. Maybe it's so simple that you look in the mirror one day and you're just like, I'm no longer happy with me. I'm no longer happy with what's going on. I'm not happy with the way things are going. I want to control life again rather than life controlling me. And maybe that's the moment. Maybe it's I'm in a routine. I've been doing this other thing for so long. I've been trying this for so long. I've been eating the same things for 60 years. Maybe it's time for change. Maybe change would do me good. Maybe I have not given it a chance, but I've given this other thing such a long chance and it's got me in such a bad place that maybe that's the moment. Maybe it's just looking in the mirror and it's that simple. You just say, enough is enough. I'm done. It's time to make a shift. And you truly, genuinely want to live a better life, and you go for it and you give it everything you got. Maybe that's the moment. But you have to figure out why. What is it? Is it because you want to live a longer life for your grandchildren and your kids? Is it because you don't want to take all these medications for things that we know are caused by diet? Is it because financially it's extremely expensive to eat processed food plus go to medical doctors and do appointments every single day? Is it because you think it tastes better? Because it does taste better, and I know that sounds wild as well. Maybe it's because you want to try new things. Maybe it's because you want to experiment. Maybe it's because you want to experience new things. Maybe it's because you know to your core that this is what you should be doing, but now you got to figure out why it is so important to you. So self-reflect, ask yourself, have that honest conversation with yourself. Don't allow yourself to self-sabotage. Do not allow yourself to self-sabotage. You know, Judy Ho, Dr. Judy Ho, she was on The Doctors, the episode I was on. She just released a book called Self-Sabotage, Getting in Your Own Way. Do not allow yourself to self-sabotage. The biggest obstacle to eating healthy is not the food. It's not that it's hard. It's not that it's expensive. It's ourselves. It's our minds. It's our constant excuses. It's our habitual nature. We've formed such dark, deep habits since we were just a child that it is so hard to break out of them. It is our own way of living that gets in our way of living. Doesn't that sound crazy? Our own way of living gets in our way of living. Let that set in. Because we don't know what it's like to live until we're truly healthy, until we're truly happy. And until you get to that point, you won't know what you were missing because you didn't have it. So get to that point. Get there. It's so important. Starting is one of the most challenging things. Starting is so hard for so many people. So many people will do this, will watch the videos for years, will know and believe in this and celebrate this and like the videos and comment, but they'll never even start. You can watch tutorials on how to play baseball, but until you swing a bat, you'll never hit the ball. You have to put words into action. You have to do it yourself. You have to do it yourself. It's one thing to watch it. It's another thing to do it. And starting is so challenging for so many people because we are in our own way. We trip ourselves up. We say it can never happen for me. It's just not possible. I don't know how I would do it. I don't know where I would even start. I don't know when I would even end. And the biggest thing is, what if it actually works? What if it actually works? And I know many of you are probably thinking, well, we know it works. But for so many, success is actually scary. It's actually scary. As I become more successful, as I get closer to getting my goal, as I get closer to achieving things that I've wanted for so long, I get anxious. I get scared. I get nervous. And I know many of you are probably thinking, that doesn't make any sense. Why? You're getting everything you want. You're achieving everything you've desired. But I get anxious. I get nervous. It's almost as if I can't believe that it's actually becoming a reality, as if I've actually manifested my destiny, as if I have finally gotten what I had wanted for so long, that I get nervous, I get anxious, I get scared. I start to self-sabotage without even realizing when finally everything that I had wanted and worked so hard for is finally coming to fruition. So maybe that's what's happening. Maybe you're just scared, and that's okay, because I've been scared of success so many times. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm an actor. So I auditioned for television shows, I auditioned for movies, I've auditioned for Spider-Man, I've auditioned for Han Solo in the Star Wars movies, big TV shows, big roles, network television, major Paramount, Universal Studios, big things that would change my life if I got them. 7 years of auditioning every single day, 7 years of acting classes and courses and working so hard, memorizing lines and working repetitive and on structure and on discipline and on skills. And you go into that room and you give it everything you've got, and they give you a call back. They bring you back. They say, you know what, we liked what he did. Do you know what happens? You think you would celebrate. You think you would say, wow, my hard work is paying off. It's happening. I'm getting closer to my dream. But it doesn't. You get more nervous. You get more scared. You get more anxious as you get closer to that goal that you sought for so long. So that's something to think about. Is your anxiety, are you actually scared of achieving the health that you so desperately seek? Because it's a real thing. I'm not making that up. It happens to me all the time. I get so scared when I get close to my dreams. I get so anxious when things are finally going right, when I worked so hard. And so many of you will have to work so hard to get there. So many of you, if you're in a place that's hard right now and you're watching this, if you're pre-diabetic, if you have diabetes, if you're overweight, if you have any sorts of problems going on right now, and you're ready to do this, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be extremely simple and extremely hard at the same exact time. So the sooner you understand that, the sooner you will succeed. But you have to have a very strong why. You have to really be believing in something so great and so important to overcome the hardships and the ups and downs of this journey. It has to be strong. Why do we go to work every single day? We're sick, we go to work because we don't have enough sick days. We work every single day. Some of us work 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, 16 hours a day. We work and we work and we work. So why do we work so hard every single day? Because of money, because of a monetary reward. And what does money mean to us? Why is it such an important why? Why is it so essential to us? Because it allows us to buy food. Because it allows us to take care of our children or our grandchildren. Because it allows us to have shelter. Because it allows us to have necessities that we need to live, or maybe even luxuries, or maybe even pleasures. But it allows us to have other things by achieving that, but the only way we can get that is by working, so we go to work. We go to work on holidays. We go to work on weekends. We work at night and we work during the day and we work. So if we're willing to work so hard because our why is money, then how do we work so hard on our health when the why is life? That's the difference. Money may be able to buy you medications. Money may be able to help you live a little bit longer. But if you eat healthy and if you focus on your own health, your own well-being, the benefit is life. Longer life, healthier life, more energy, more life. If it's waking up a little earlier so you get a little bit more daylight. If it's sleeping a little bit, getting to sleep a little bit later so you get a little bit more nighttime. It's more life. That is the why. That's what you get. If you put in the same amount of work you're putting in to achieve money, and you put that same work into your own health, you will achieve more life. So money, it gets you clothing, it gets you shelter, it gets you monetary things, goods, handbags, televisions, computers. But eating healthy gets you life. And guess what? I'm going to tell you something that's mind-blowing. You can't use your computer if you're dead. You can't live in a home if you're dead. You can't spend time with your family if you're dead. So the more life you have, the more you get to use those things that you spent so much time accumulating all that money to have in the first place. So without life, money means nothing. So it means the world to have your life. It's so important. I hope this is helping people. I hope you watch this and you start to formulate your why. I hope you ask yourself, what is it that you want to live a longer and healthier life for? Maybe it's for yourself. Maybe you just want to be a little bit happier when you get out of bed. Maybe you just want to be a little bit more energized when you wake up. Maybe it's for your kids. Maybe you want to be a role model for your children so they don't suffer the same fate as you. Maybe it's so that your grandchildren will think of you as someone who is so heroic and so focused on your health that it passes from generation to generation, and your kids and your grandkids and your great-grandkids will eat healthy because they followed in the footsteps of you, and you set that course for all of them. You set an example. You led by example. You lived a long life, a healthy life. You prospered, and it made everyone else around you aware. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's so you don't have to take so many of these medications and go to so many doctor visits all the time. So maybe it's financial means. But it's got to be there. The why has to be there. There has to be a reason. We wake up every day for a reason. What is that reason? What is that reason? Figure it out. Figure it out. Because if you don't find your why, it'll be so hard to succeed. So what is my why? I talk about the why. What is my why? What allowed me to go to the grocery store every single day for 700 straight days? What makes me wake up and go to the grocery store, go to sleep and go to the grocery store, dream about the grocery store, go to the produce section so often, go to the produce section after the Academy Awards, go to the produce section before the Emmys, go to the produce section before I go on national television, go to the produce section at 1 a.m. or go to the produce section at 2 p.m. What is driving me to do this? What is that force behind me? Is it money? No, it's not. I didn't make a single dollar for the first year of this thing. Any money that I made in the first year off that cookbook, I gave back by sending out $5,000 worth of free food. I made $0. I work another job to make the money. So it wasn't money. Money did not drive it. I didn't make a single dollar. Money had no impact on me going to that produce section every single day. If anything, it cost me way more money than I made. So what was the why? What was it that made me go there day in, day out? Was it fame? I was already on TV for acting. I was already in movies. It wasn't fame. So what was it? What was it that was driving me? What was a force so deep inside of me that made me go to the drive 30 minutes to the grocery store every single day without hesitation and back. What was it? It was those experiences that I saw people struggling that were good people, and I sought to help them. I knew something had to be done. No one was saying anything about it, and someone needed to speak up. My why was that person on the elevator eating 2 McDonald's McFlurries and giving one to their friend who had just had a stroke. My why was the kind people that hold the door open for you, that struggle at living. My why was when I moved, that man who came here from Mexico, that's hands were so swollen he couldn't work to support his family. And it wasn't until he realized that if he only ate fruits and vegetables, he was able to help his family, support his family, and live again. My why was that man I met on Hollywood Boulevard that I talked about. Would he ever choose a plant-based diet? Would he ever eat fruits and vegetables? And he was there with his 2 daughters, and he said, yes, he would. He would, because he knew if he didn't, he wasn't going to be around long enough for his kids to be there to see him and for him to see them grow. He said he knew the carnitas were causing him so much pain and so much suffering. He knew the pork was making him diabetic. He said these things to me. It was real, and his kids were right there, and it was so important to him that he would change his whole entire life, give up on his cultural identity, just so that he could be there for his family. That is the why. It's everyday people that I saw struggling, from walking on the street to elevators and hospitals to moving vans. It affects everyone like a bomb. It just ravishes our country. It kills hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. Millions of people are suffering. 3 out of 4 people are overweight. Every single day, 2,600 people die of diet-related diseases. That's so many people. That's so many good, honest, hard-working, family-loving people that are suffering and struggling. And while they're dying, I will keep going to the produce section. It takes me 30 minutes to go to the grocery store. No big deal. I'll go there 10 times in a day. I've gone to the grocery store once 10 times in a day. I'll do it 100 times, 1,000 times if my video or my voice reaches one person, one family member that gets to live a little bit longer for their kids and their grandkids. That was my why. It's so deep. When you meet someone that's so good and so honest and so kind and just wants to be there for their children, you fight for them. So that's why I went to the produce section every day. That's why I go to the produce section every day. That's why it's not a challenge of a couple days. It's a challenge of a life. It's a challenge of changing people's lives to see that there's so much more life that they can live if they truly believe in themselves, if they actually go for this, if they stop self-sabotaging, if they get out of their own way and allow their life to be better. And I know it's scary. I know the anxiety creeps up. I know as you get results, it gets even harder, not easier. You lose 30 pounds in a month. You're getting more scared, more anxious, more nervous. Oh my God, it's working. Holy, oh my, what am I going to do? Oh my goodness, finally something has resulted in me feeling better. My energy's up. But it's scary. It's scary. It's scary to realize that you could have this, that something so wonderful and so amazing can be out there. So at the same time, you're getting everything you wanted so bad for so long. It's scary. And that is something that I don't know how to explain. But I suffer from it. So I'm guessing so many others are suffering it from it as well. So find that why. Ask yourself, do you want to be around for longer with your children and your grandchildren? Do you want to see your grandchildren grow up? Do you want to be a role model for your family? Do you want to impact your husband who's struggling or your wife who's struggling? Do you want to be a support system for them? Do you want to be a voice for those that are hurt, for those that are in hospital beds? Think about the thousands and thousands and thousands of people right now that are sitting in hospital beds, that can't even get out of their own bed in a hospital room with no family, no one around them to support them, with diseases that were diet related. Think about the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that will spend their holidays in a hospital bed with no one there for them. Just think about that. Just because they're out of sight, they're still there. Every time I go to a hospital, it is the biggest wake-up call for me to see so many people suffering and to know that so many are there because of what they ate. It's a huge wake-up call. Because my why is helping those exact people that are suffering. So maybe it's just to be a better example for your community, for your neighbors. Maybe it's just to be a better example for yourself. So find your why. Look in the mirror, have an honest conversation with yourself, and ask why you want to do this. And don't make it a simple reason of, I just want to be healthier. And that can be your why. That can be your why. But go deeper. I challenge you to search deeper. Ask yourself uncomfortable questions. Be vulnerable. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. The greatest things happen when we allow ourselves to be free, to not fear what someone else is going to say or what someone else is going to think or what we're going to say or what we're going to think. Just allow yourself to be vulnerable. So often we wear clothes everywhere. We do all these things to hide our vulnerabilities. We're on a phone 24/7 no matter who's around us, so that we don't have to deal with the pressures of society. So when we have to deal with communicating with anyone around us, we're on our phone and it's safe. We can go online. We can check our messages 10 times because it feels safe. Be vulnerable. When it comes to your health, be vulnerable. It's okay if you were eating bad food. It's okay if you were eating the wrong food. It's okay if you're in a bad position now because of what you ate. But at least have an honest conversation and be honest with yourself about what happened to get you where you are right now. Be vulnerable. Look in the mirror and be vulnerable. Be vulnerable. So many times, this happens to me too when I wasn't eating this way. Maybe I didn't want to wear a bathing suit. Maybe I didn't want to go out with my shirt off because I felt like, I'm not in the fitness that I want to be. I'm not in my peak condition. I'm not, and that is something that is being afraid of being yourself. And when you're not yourself, it's really hard to succeed in getting healthy because you don't have full control over yourself. And you really need to, and it's hard. It's a challenging thing to do. It's harder. It's easier said than done. It seems so simple. Of course, I love everything I do. I don't care what anyone else thinks. Of course, I'm confident and I have full control over myself. It's much harder. So many of us still have so many things that we're vulnerable about, we're insecure about, we're afraid of. So find those things and work on them. And most importantly, figure out what it is that you're living for, why you want to live, and what it is that will be so powerful and so strong that no matter where you are, who you're with, you will not falter and you will not quit. Ask yourself, if you're in the toughest of situations, the NFL season, if you're at a football game and you're at a stadium for 3.5 hours, what is your why that makes it so you don't get the hot dogs being passed around, the popcorn being passed around, the pretzels being passed around? What is your why that holds you back from getting lemonade, from getting a beer, from getting nachos, from getting pizza? What is your why that is so strong that you can be trapped for 3.5 hours at a football game with every single other person around you eating nachos and pizza and pretzels, that it's so strong that you don't eat there? What is it that's so strong that allows you to overcome the smells of bacon, of hot dogs, of sugar, of candy? What is so strong that in the toughest of times you will prevail? Because when you have that, you will succeed. But think about that. What is a situation, a birthday? Everyone's cutting the cake. Everyone's sitting around a table and they're cutting the cake. What allows you to say, I don't want to eat that because I want to live a longer life? I choose life. I choose life. But thank you. What is the why that allows you to say no and say yes to yourself? Say no to the bad food. Say no to death. Say no to disease. And say yes to yourself. What's so powerful that in the toughest of situations, when every single person in that table is saying, come on, just have one slice. But it's a birthday. You got to celebrate with us. But it's so good. I baked this cake myself. What is so powerful that you can say no to someone that's handing you a slice of cake that just baked it for you, but you know they used eggs, butter, cream, sugar, and everything that's going to be making you feel sick, and you know it's going to be bad for you, and you know it's going to cause you all sorts of problems? What is so powerful that you say no to someone who's about to hand you a slice of homemade cake. Because you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable because now you got to say no to someone you care about, a friend that you cherish. You got to say no to something that they worked hard on because you're saying yes to your life. But what is so powerful that you can do that? That's what you have to find. They'll respect you later on, trust me. They might not respect you in that moment. They might say, I can't believe they rejected my cake. I can't believe they said no to me. I can't believe they went to a football game and they didn't have a hot dog. I can't believe they went to a football game and they didn't have a slice of my pizza when I bought them a pizza. I went to the concession stand, I bought 2 pizzas, one for my husband, one for my wife, and my wife wouldn't even eat the pizza. How could you do that? Now I got 2 pizzas, spent $10 for this tiny little pizza, and you're rejecting my pizza because you're saying yes to your life. They're going to get mad. People are going to get mad. People are going to get offended. People are going to self-reflect and say, well, now I feel bad about what I'm eating because they're not eating. They'll start to self-reflect. They'll start to think. When you bring celery and carrots and broccoli and cauliflower and everyone around you is eating hot dogs and hamburgers, they're going to self-reflect. They're going to know it's healthier, and they're going to start to beat themselves up and in turn beat you up. They're going to attack you. They're going to question you. Some will be supportive and some will not, and that's just the way it is. But what is your why that is so strong that it doesn't matter? It doesn't matter if your long-lost cousin or your aunt or your uncle or your brother or your sister or even your mother or your father saying to have one bite, try a little bit, come on, have some. What is so strong that you can say no to your mother? Your mother's famous chili. What can you do to overcome your mom's key lime pie? You gotta think about that. What is so powerful that you can say no to things that are going to cause you problems and you can say yes to your life? So think about that. Seriously, have some deep reflection. I know so many of you will say, I'm trying, I'm doing my best, I want to do it. But stop using those words and start to say you are doing it. Go for it. You are doing it. You don't want to do it. You need to do it, and you are doing it. Or don't say you need. Say you are. I am doing it. Not I'm going to do it. Not I need to do it. Not I want to do it. Not I should do it. I am doing it. I am doing it. I am doing it. Say things 1,000 times if that's what it takes. I am doing it. I am doing it. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for my children. I'm doing it for my grandchildren. I'm doing it for my husband. I'm doing it for my wife. I'm doing it for my parents. I'm doing it for my community. I'm doing it for myself. But I am doing it. I am doing it. And you'll get results. I know it works. I know it works. All right. I'll see you guys later. Have a wonderful day. Stay healthy. Find your why. It's so powerful. When you start to live a life like this, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. So start living. All right? Bye, everyone.